Grog.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Cider Shed podcast. I'm Matthew Weir and I'm joined by Kerry Warbis.
Hello.
You right there, Kerry?
I am. I'm good, thanks. Just been glugging honey.
Okay, straight from the bottle.
I did. Yeah. It's nice. I've got a slight tickly throat, so hopefully I'll be okay.
I'm a kind of a honey lemon whiskey when I've got a cold, getting that concoction all stirred up. You're not a whiskey girl though, are you, Kerry? I think we've had that conversation.
Yeah, there was whiskey going on this week, wasn't there, in The Archers?
Alistair, I think Michael Lumsden drew inspiration for that scene by listening to me in the last 20 minutes of our election special.
Yes, single malt.
Jazza was helping himself to a pint of it either way, wasn't he?
Jim wasn't best pleased with that, really.
No, quite a lot of drinking going on this week, or there always seems to be alcohol as a social thing circling around storylines with Alice. Now, is that because it normally forms much of the Archers, eating and drinking, or do we just notice it more when there's a recovering alcoholic storyline at the same time?
I mean, it's tricky when one of the key places in the village is the Bull. I know the whiskey wasn't happening there. That was at Jim's house. Yeah, but it does seem more pronounced, doesn't it, when there is this juxtaposition of she's just come out of rehab. Often it's Lillian as well involved with the drink stuff. Yeah, there is a lot of drinking going on in the Archers generally.
You're right. I mean, the Bull being the centrepiece of the village where people meet up after hours. Who are you safe from if you go in the Bull? There isn't anyone that doesn't show up there at some point.
Yeah, good point.
Tom and Natasha don't go there much.
This is true, isn't it? I suppose because of having the twins. Mind you, they've got childcare on tap, haven't they? Do you think it's like not their thing? I can't really imagine them in a nice corner of the Bull laughing away.
No, I mean, the last time they were in there was Tony's birthday when Tony got absolutely bollocksed. Do you remember?
Yeah. What did you think of Alistair's bollocksed acting?
Oh, I thought it was quite good. I'm not sure I got the chocolate analogy, to be honest. But I tell you what, let's have a little break. And then we'll probably find that the Archers is like a box of chocolates that you've left out in the sun.
And you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Every afternoon this week on Borsetshire BB's, Ambrose of Ambridge. Aww. Join this quaint village's cheekiest giraffe as he goes on his adventures. Tonight, Ambrose sets fire to the post box outside the village shop as an act of revenge for Susan refusing to sell him a bag of scampi fries on his tab. Then he's off to St. Stephen's to steal the church collection money in retribution for Ellen always making him sit at the back. And just before bedtime, he calls in at the Laurels and leaves a little present in Peggy's slipper. That wasn't personal. Tony paid him to do it. But of course, he's home just in time to hide under the car so his loving owners can find him. Oh, Ambrose.
Warning. Thursday's episode of Ambrose of Ambridge, in which Ambrose and Eric go on a double date in the Pack of Wolves, is not suitable for younger viewers.
What chocolate is Denise then for you? I think she's the sour quince log.
Yes, that's a good one. Alistair said he tried the coffee cream one, and Jazza was very like, "No, that's my one. You can't just nick that. It's got to mean something." And then he said, "Oh, what's that one with the nut in it?" There always used to be a terrible chocolate, and it was called. I'm pretty sure it was called a shrapnel or something. Cracknel, not shrapnel. That's shrapnel.
Shrapnel is like what happens when a grenade goes off, Kerry.
Yeah, that's the one. They stopped doing it. No, it was a cracknel. That's what it was. And it was like sort of shards of glass in sweet form. Sort of a rectangular, loggy shape covered in chocolate. Am I tripping or something? Do you recognise this description?
I don't recall.
Everyone left it. It was in like a tin of, I don't know, Quality Street or one of those. It wasn't a thing on its own.
It looks like a kind of a tray bake, but they might have appropriated it for chocolates. It comes up as a peppermint crisp mint cracknel.
Oh, does it now? I don't remember it being peppermint. Anyway, she's that thing that just like nobody really wants. And you just eat it. Well, because you haven't got anything else, probably.
And all the good ones have gone.
Yeah.
On this topic, do you want to hear someone being an absolute genius?
Yeah.
Joe O'Farrell, patron and friend of the show, wrote in the comments of last week's episode, Cara Mack is Paul's sister, of course. It's true, isn't it? He's Paul Mack and his sister's Cara.
Yes. That is genius, isn't it? I now feel a fool because I think I referred to the sister as Carla in a tweet this week.
It is Cara, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't know who Carla Mack is.
No. Yeah, like that a lot. So, like, the reason they were drinking, let's sort of do it from there, shall we? It's all come to a bit of a head thanks to Jakob just going, I'm sick of this atmosphere in the workplace. I haven't caused any of this. I don't deserve to have to feel uncomfortable. You need to sort this out. And he had strong words with both Alistair on his own and nicer words, but still quite full on with Paul. He's made his position very clear.
Wouldn't you love to be in a car with Jakob and he suddenly does a Yui and pulls into a pub and takes you for dinner?
Of course. He's one of my favourite characters.
Yeah, I mean, there was that bit where he said, Kate is wonderful. She's the woman for me, much like Denise for you, except she's not married.
Yeah.
And Alistair went, yeah, thanks for reminding me of that.
I was cheering at my radiogram when he was saying to Alistair, like, be honest, you knew weeks and weeks ago that this would only end in trouble. And I told you to tell Paul the truth and you failed to take my advice. And now I'm supposed to put up with listening to you whining on. He went whining and it's exploded in your face.
Like cracknel.
Yeah, crack like shrapnel. And Alistair said, but you can be a vet and a human being, you know. It's not either or. I was like, yeah, exactly, Alistair. Paul is a human being as well. So stop just thinking about yourself.
You have that balance where Alistair's sinking in the whiskey and talking to Jazzer. Jim's already toddled off to bed. Oh no, Jim was still there because he was like, why doesn't Paul like me? And Jazzer's adding these little pearls of wisdom like, you lied to him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that truth bombs were happening left, right and centre to both Alistair and Paul. And I know I've been a massive advocate for Paul on Twitter and on here and stuff. He himself did admit that he's been unbearable and he said he's going to stop doing that. The one thing that I would criticise Paul for this week is it became clear that he is jealous of Alistair because Denise... What did he describe it as?
He said that I was her go-to and now Alistair is her go-to.
Yeah. So, I mean, good heavens, you can't have that, can you? You know, your mother needing to sort of share certain things with her partner is fine. It can't always be you. I'm surprised he allowed her any time at all with John if this is how he's feeling.
Alistair let slip that apparently things are unbearable at home. They just have each other's agendas up on the calendar and they never talk. So I can imagine it's just like cycling, shagging Alistair in a hotel. Cycling.
Yeah, but that's Denise's version, isn't it?
Paul also said, well, you know, Dad, you can't really talk to him about emotion and relationships. Wasn't John being absolutely amazing about Etienne and the open relationship about 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. And some people have said, oh, he's clearly very controlling of Denise because he said, don't have any biscuits. Really weirdly grabbing the wrong end of that stick, I think, because it was because they were about to have dinner. So you'd say that to anyone like, oh, don't have too many biscuits. You know, we've got nice big food coming soon.
Yeah, it's essentially like someone leaning over the table and saying, don't fill up on bread.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're coercively controlling somebody, does it? It's just like, don't forget, you know, we've got loads more of this scran to come. I'm glad that hopefully Jakob, having said these very clear words to both of those people, will see some sort of resolution here. And Denise didn't feature, did she? Because she didn't feel up for going out in public to the bull. I was very pleased about. We haven't yet heard her side of this in terms of a resolution of the atmosphere. So all we need is for that to be sorted now, without hearing her, hopefully.
That scene that opened with Alistair going, and another thing, Paul, you do not speak to me like that in the office. And I thought Jakob's going to walk in and say, why are you talking to a gerbil, Alistair? It didn't sound like Paul was there, did it? It sounded like he was rehearsing. And then Paul just basically went, "Are you finished?" He said, "What, am I going to take a lecture from someone who was shagging the vet nurse?" And he went, "That vet nurse is your mum." And he went, "That doesn't make you my dad."
Yeah.
That was up there with...
You can't tell me what to do. You ain't my mother. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Get out my pub. Also, I liked that Jakob said, "Oh gosh, this is all making me sometimes wonder, hark back to a lovely time when I was single." And Alistair leapt on that and went, "Oh, trouble at home with Kate, is there?" And he went, "No, Kate is brilliant. It's her family that are doing my head in because of Alice coming out of rehab and them all having to deal with that."
Well, let's have a little chat about that. Chris and Brian drove up to rehab, wherever it was, this posh, expensive place. Alice came out looking a lot better, apparently, sounding quite positive. I thought she was very direct this week. She knows what she wants, doesn't she? And she's not going to change her mind about the guilty plea. Funny that we've only just listened to Brian declaring himself guilty in the toxic poisoning of the waterways episode that we did in midweek. And the value for him was to plead guilty. It was in his best interest because he could have got a harsher punishment and gone to jail. By the way, Rob did point out that they'd already sold the house by the time that episode happened.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
That came first, yeah. Which I was then saying, like, wasn't that just after Christmas or like going into the new year? And then Rob said, "I don't bloody know," or something to that effect.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad other people are equally in the dark about certain things.
So it was in Brian's best interests to plead guilty in that case, to not receive a harsher punishment. And he's feeling the same thing for his daughter, isn't he? But she, possibly through sessions in the rehab centre, she's building a clearer picture, isn't she? And she said that she remembers predominantly George's voice, hearing it again and again. She doesn't remember taking the keys out. She doesn't remember driving. She just remembers the car horn and like the screeching of brakes.
Yeah, it's coming back, isn't it? Well, whether she will have many or any more of these remembrances, I'm not clear. But the key point is she feels she's doing the right thing and that she's convinced that she did not drive. She's not guilty. So good on her. She's sticking to her guns, and she wants Martha to look back and feel that, yes, her mum may have been an alcoholic. However, she stood for her principles, stood for her rights, didn't waver. And that's admirable, I think. And she described Chris as being Martha's normal. Which was, I did laugh a little bit at that. But and so she said, like, I'm going to sort out my own mess. Oh, and Chris, when she said, "Wish me luck," at the end of one of the scenes, she left and you could hear him go, "Good luck, Alice," really soulfully. He just loves her and adores her.
There was that bit where Brian came over to talk to Chris about Jazzer's behaviour at the petrol station. What did you make of all that?
If you mean what did I think of Jazzer shouting at Brian with Alice sitting in a car nearby at the petrol station, I thought that was a bit odd. I don't know if Jazzer would do that. Yes, of course, he's defending the people he cares about who have been impacted by Alice's actions. Well, it's not actually Alice's actions, as we know. But I didn't feel like that would be something that happened. And I know it then led to a wider point from Brian, which is like, is Alice going to keep encountering this sort of behaviour from people in the village? Like looking at her, judging her, and will that kind of attention tip her back into wishing to have a drink? So I sort of got Brian's valid concerns, but it was a weird scene, that, for me.
Yeah, and he said to Chris, "How do we know she's not at home right now necking a bottle of vodka?" She just walks in and goes, "'Cause I'm here, Dad." And he's like, "Oh,
yeah.
Is this an ambush?"
For God's sake, Brian, they were still in the car from the rehab place when Brian said, "Oh, would you change your plea, please? I've booked you an appointment to discuss this tomorrow." I mean, at least wait until you've got home.
"You know, there's a little girl in there and she doesn't have a choice and you have to think about what's going to happen to her. Either of you?" And they didn't say anything. He went, "Right, that's it." And he slams the door and Chris went, "He's not happy."
Yeah.
He should be like a Watson to Harrison's Sherlock Holmes, shouldn't he, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good sort of
A foil, a sidekick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Brian's being a bit odd. You wouldn't do that as soon as she's come out, would you? It's all very well being worried about what other people in the village are going to say, and then you sort of go, you're doing this, love. I've decided.
Chris did actually say, Brian, when he started to bring it up in the car. Principally, I was saying, what did you think of Jazzer's reaction? I didn't feel like it was enough, Brian, to just say, pass on mine and Alice's regards to Brad for his 18th, for Jazzer to say, like, yeah, maybe I won't, which was clearly said loudly enough for Brian to hear. Yeah. But he did actually mention, did he say my stepson or my wife's son is what did he refer to George as? He's not his stepson, is he? Oh my God, I'm going into a Carter Horrobin hellhole.
Well, I can't help you. What? So you're talking about how Jazzer referred to George?
Like a kaleidoscope appears in my mind whenever I try to remember how all the Carters and the Horrobins are related, and the music from the Magic Roundabout starts to play. But anyway, he used some term to refer to George, I feel, and you're just thinking, it's another person focusing around that character.
Good heavens, Chelsea did my head in this week. When she was cutting George's hair, she was wittering on and on and on and on. And she was like, oh, well, because you're in a mood, you won't want me to wash your hair, will you? I'll use the spray gun or whatever. I thought, bloody hell, keep out of his face, keep out of his business. She arranged this date with Tilly Button without him knowing. I thought, like, no wonder he was pissed off.
Yeah, reference to how much older she is than him, because we had that mystery when we did a time travel episode, and one of the Button sisters was helping Jim with the bird race. And we were like, hang on, she's about 6 months old. And
yeah, how can this be?
But yeah, they are older and more experienced. Chelsea's got the wrong end of the stick there. She thinks he's basically saying you can't get it up, isn't she?
Yeah. He said, I'm not able, whatever she wants me to, I'm not able to, because he's not in the right headspace, is he?
I thought he meant I can't go interrailing because I'm going to jail.
Did you?
Yeah, that's what I thought, because she was talking about the grand plans of Tilly wants to travel, just like she's seen what Paul's sister is doing. And he's there thinking, well, I could be going to the Slammer.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just thought it was more immediate and that he can't be doing with anything at the moment. He's not able to cope, like, in the same way he can't accept 50 quid, panicking about Ambrose the giraffe. He feels bad about that. He doesn't want to try to get involved. But yeah, you're probably right.
I think Ambrose let himself out and clearly threw himself under the car, didn't he?
Well, I did wonder if George had placed him on the driver's seat. Do giraffes drink fruit cider? I don't know.
They neck it.
Oh, very sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah, so George, he's cracking up a little bit, isn't he?
Does this go to trial, or do you think it gets sussed before that?
Ooh, it's pointing to it happening prior to the trial. But who the bloody hell knows, Matthew? Someone said that we're looking at mid-August before any of this starts to get resolved, because they'd leapt ahead and looked at episode descriptions. But I don't know what that means. Did they mean in the trial? Did they mean something else? Not sure. But mid-August is only 2 weeks away. I'm going to see Taylor Swift on the 15th. It's not that far away.
That was Lizzie that said that, wasn't it? Cheated by looking at the up-and-coming episodes, and I think we'll have to wait until mid-August.
Oh, right, okay.
I have this vision of just a moment where George awkwardly finds himself alone with Alice, and they're talking, and she just has this moment of clarity, and she just makes her excuses and leaves the room.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I tell you what, though, Emma's 40th is coming up, isn't it? And I've got a vision of something happening there, where it'd be good if at the 40th, do we know where that's even being held? I'm not sure. If Joy is at it, I want her to see some fruit ciders and go, oh, you like those, don't you, George? And for Neil to sort of go, oh, does he?
Is that why you threw a shit fit at the haymaking?
Yes, something like that. I don't know. Be good if Emma's 40th is ruined, basically, by the realisation that her precious son, who's really turned a corner and she's really proud of him being more of an adult, has been spinning this yarn for weeks. Happy birthday.
Yeah. I think they've booked upstairs at the Bull, haven't they, for Emma's 40th?
That would make sense.
There was some chat about it, but then Neil went, "Oh, if only we knew that Natasha was offering all these freebies for a hen party, we could have muscled in on that." And I was like, well, how exactly? Anyone wants to get mani-pedis at a 40th birthday? I don't think so.
Oh, and speaking of venues and all of that, David said about the hen party. Oh, it was cancelled, the booking, wasn't it? Surprise, surprise. He said, I might be stating the obvious here, but we have an events barn on our property. I bloody said that on Twitter a while ago. Like, have I lost the plot here? They literally have a barn. Why are they spending loads of their budget on this cottage place when they can do it on the cheap at their own home? Anyway, so it's going to be there now, isn't it?
Well, further to that, they're all sat there. Pip shows up and Ruth says, "Oh, great, you're here, Pip. Someone to take away all the negativity." It's like, have you ever met your daughter? Firstly. And then they got talking about the barn, right? And David said, "May I remind you," as you said. Then they got cut away to another scene, and then they come back, and Pip went, "Turns out the barn is free." Well, wouldn't they bloody know that anyway? If it's like the next week. Normally David's shitting bricks about upcoming events, isn't he?
Fantastic point. Yeah. They've only had about 2 dues there, though, haven't they?
It's all going to go right off, though, isn't it? Because Jill's going to get Leonard jealous.
Yeah, it was good to hear her. She did sound a bit frail, but, she's 93. Who is Leonard in the Lake District with? Why exactly is she that sort of frosty pants when he sends her videos on her smartphone?
I don't know. Is he with Singapore Simon?
Or Denise, maybe. Oh, and also, because Jill was sitting there and she was looking at a 2-page spread in a magazine about Asian hornet influx. She's like, "I don't want any of them feeding on my bees." And I was thinking, is this a stop the boats thing? Is it some sort of metaphor for Jill being a racist?
A 2-page spread? It sounded like a centerfold. Is it Horny Hornet magazine or something that she's reading?
It's her favourite subscription. I was clutching at straws a bit, but I was thinking, oh God. And I'm sure it is a thing. There'll be Asian hornets coming because the agricultural storyline editor will have been over it. I was thinking, God, is this some sort of subliminal Jill likes the Reform Party?
Well, if you listen to Peter, the whole village voted Reform.
Oh, yeah. True. David was stressing about litter picking from hedges because picnic people keep leaving all their rubbish behind, which is, I think, horrific. I hate litter louts. It's totally selfish behaviour.
I had a colleague once. They offered me a lift home from work, and when I got in her car, she went, "Oh, hang on," and she just scooped up a load of McDonald's and Coke cans out of the passenger side floor and threw it all on the floor for me to get in. I was like, "What are you doing?" And she went, "People have jobs cleaning that up."
Oh, my God.
It's learned behaviour, though, isn't it?
That is horrific.
Yeah.
Nothing should be dropped and left behind like that.
I remember seeing 3 girls at the Lewis stop, the tram they had 3 chocolate bars, stood right next to the bin, opened the chocolate bars and just threw the wrappers on the floor and ate the chocolate. I very passively aggressively picked them up and very performatively put them in the bin whilst not breaking eye contact with all of them.
It's like going after people, isn't it? Going, you've dropped something. Really sort of passive aggressive.
And then you find out you've interrupted a drug handover.
Yeah, and you get punched in the face. What about that clip? Sorry, it's just made me think. The rioters. That guy who gets a brick round the head. He goes up to the police. He does a little sort of dance, being all smug and swaggering. Then he gets a brick on his head. And then a brick in the ghoulies. It's just I cannot stop watching. And I know it's because of some horrific, I can't even begin to go there, reason why they're supposedly doing this. Obviously, they're doing it for other reasons. But that clip just epitomises how idiotic they are.
And that was about the only bright, shining light to come out of that horrific chain of events, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so someone's done a quite good thing where they've projected that onto a big screen in the pub for when Ollie Watkins' goal went in against the Netherlands. And when the brick hits him in the bollocks, the whole pub erupts. Who would that guy be if he lived in Ambridge? I reckon he'd be Kyle Yates, I think, the one that lives around the back of Helen's place.
Yeah.
So poor old Leonard, he's up at Lake Coniston or something like that. making little videos for Jill of the wildlife, and he's going to get back a video of Jill like drawing a moustache on her face and eating a chocolate penis.
Yeah, but the thing about lovely Leonard is he'll go, "Oh, I'm glad you've had a nice time."
Yeah.
But he won't give a shit. He won't feel jealous or anything.
I feel like I could probably do a better job on the bell end of that penis. Keep it for me, and I'll have a go with my tools when I get back down, Jill.
Is it her sort of perverse way of showing that she misses him, which is really twisted, isn't it?
I found her behaviour generally quite odd in this episode, but she was also having her buttons pushed by the others a bit as well.
But that is how she is, isn't it? This is nothing new. This is Jill. She's often prickly, and she did say one comment which was along the lines of, well, you know, nothing wrong with a bit of reality. I thought, yeah, I'm with you there, Jill.
And that was in relation to... Oh, there being like there's going to be a terrible harvest or something, wasn't it?
I think, well, because Ruth was saying, oh, you're all being so negative, like, because David was moaning about the harvest. Jill was talking about the Asian hornets. Then David was adding in the litter. And I think Jill's point was, like, we're just saying things as they are, really.
I mean, that's like a laughter therapy group for Brookfield by their standards, isn't it?
Yeah. Jill did say about the hen fiasco. In my day, it was a quiet sherry with the girls before your wedding. Yeah, look what's happened to you. You twisted old bat.
Yeah. I reckon Grace had a banger of a hen night.
Yeah. Doing the can.
I mean, they're going to get their wires crossed, aren't they? Like I said, Josh will just like release all his hens into the barn thinking that's what they wanted. You talking about this is a hen party?
Because Alina wants to invite Jill, as you said, because she can't have her Ukrainian grandmothers present, and that she thinks that Jill will remind her of them. I was like, have you met Jill? I don't think you have you?
Are we going to get to hear this? I said that we wouldn't hear the festival, and we did. Are we going to hear Jill? I mean, last time we heard Jill getting really carried away was in the back of that car on the racing track, wasn't it? When she just went,
yeah.
You're going sideways.
The only reason I think we might hear the hen is that it could hopefully bring to a peak Stella and Pip, realising they don't really have anything in common.
You've got a lot invested in this, haven't you?
I have. I'm desperate. So probably, knowing my luck, we won't hear it at all, and they'll continue to be together for years.
Anything for Carrie, isn't it? Like slightly disappointing harvest. That'll be the end for Stella and Pip. Unexpected nitrogen levels in the soil. That's it. You're dumped, Pip.
Yay, celebrations.
Trouble at work? Issues at home? Struggling to meet friends? Don't worry. Call today and book an appointment with Jakob Hackinson, life coaching and mediation. You won't believe the results.
I asked Jakob to sit in on my salary negotiation, but he told my boss she looked like that woman who put the cat in the wheelie bin. I lost my job, my house, my kids.
I used to find it difficult to share personal information with my parents. Jakob joined us all on a Zoom call once, so he could be there when I told my parents I was going back to university. They went into a breakout room, and when they came back in, my parents had changed their name by deed poll and written me out of the will.
Jakob recommended he join me on a night out in town once to help me make better social connections with people in a relaxed environment. We got into a fight with the entire pub.
Jakob Hackinson Life Coaching and Mediation. A journey to the brutal truth.
Okay, Kerry, I like a really relaxing Friday episode, and it's just so nice to sit down and listen to an episode where they're just playing Paxley in the cricket.
What an absolute corker that was.
I know. I mean, run out in the last ball as well. Did I listen to the wrong episode?
Yes, Matthew, you definitely did. I'm stunned, but I had to listen twice. I listened once whilst tweet-alonging, and then needed to listen again. It was a double-hander. That's not cricket either. And I like the intimate double-handers very, very much. And I think these two played absolute stonking blinders.
It was amazing. The bit where George was quite clearly having an anxiety attack was incredible.
Well, it began in the car, so you're in a confined space. Emma, bless her, I know she's not known for her subtleties, is she? She's like, oh, just want to spend time with my favourite son kind of thing. It's payday. I'll take you for minted mushy peas at a pub. Mushy peas should never be minted, by the way.
Whoever does the PR for that pub needs firing, because if you're only known as that pub in Hollerton Junction.
Yeah, I did wonder which one it was. Anyway, he binned that off because she said immediately after going, yeah, we'll go to a pub, fish and chips, minty peas. She said, I've been talking to Chelsea about those photographs that she took and the fact that you look like really miserable and nobody else did. So immediately just went wrong, didn't it? And he went, right, I want to go home. Emma, I think she's in a tricky situation and she's doing her best. It is difficult, I think, when you know someone's in a bad place to how to approach it. But again, it's a bit like Brian in the car when he said, right, I've got an appointment for you tomorrow. You're on a winning streak here, Emma. Like, you're in the car with him. You're about to go to dinner. You could speak to him. And she immediately mentions these blooming photographs. So instead they go home. George locks himself in his room crying.
We have to say as well that this was all brought about by the conversation that took place at Brookfield on Thursday's episode. Chelsea mentioned to Emma what Ben was like. You remember that manic episode when he turned up at her door?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, she said it was like if he stopped talking, he was scared if he stopped talking, something bad would happen. And that was what he was like, wasn't he? He was talking about Bess. Just to set it up, Kerry, I listened to Thursday's episode in the supermarket and immediately sent you this from waiting in the checkout line. So, does Emma say to George, you can tell me whatever it is? And he breaks down and tells her. And Emma keeps it a secret, and then it all comes out at the 40th, with both of them culpable.
Yes, Matthew, you did on Thursday, and I said possiblement in my written reply. But I think her saying no matter what it is, I'll support you will bite her on the bum, and I can't imagine him confessing to her as she keeps going on about how happy she is and how the tree business is ace and how proud she is, so he won't want to burst her bubble. So I was so wrong there. Well done, Matthew.
But whether it comes out of the 40th, I don't know. Be she even going to want this 40th now? Or is the fact that she said she doesn't want any fuss is going to cause more questions?
Well, is she going to be able to keep the promise, which she swore on Kira's life about, that she won't tell anybody? I mean, the final point she made really was there's no way we can allow Alice to go to prison for this.
Yeah, what can you do then?
Obviously, she doesn't want George to go to prison either. I mean, one way you can make sure Alice doesn't go to prison is for George in court to admit everything, isn't it? But she won't want that.
I mean, he could go to Belize and appear by video link.
Yeah. When she said, I know, we'll tell Harrison. He went, it was Harrison's baby that died. He was like, oh, right, yeah, we'll tell someone else then at the police station.
Also, Harrison's boss has not let him on the case because of his proximity to people involved.
And his not handling all sorts very well, really.
But it was good how he started, first of all, talked about being in the water. And you start to think, is he just going to sell it as a PTSD thing from the rescue? And then he said Fallon was crying and Denise was hugging him. And then he said, they didn't know it was all my fault. But Emma clocked pretty soon what he was actually referring to.
Well, yeah, well, he literally said, like, Fallon took my hand out of the darkness and she didn't realise that I'm the reason she's in the water in the first place. She's like, what? And she did actually also think that possibly George got Alice drunk. And he was like, no, I only had one cider.
I was expecting right at the end of the episode for him to say, fish and chips still out of the question? Mum?
Oh, Matthew. Yeah. Is that pub still open?
Yeah. It's deception is the problem, isn't it? Or as he said, pervert, I looked it up, pervert in the course of justice. Yeah, because I believe, all right, he'd have to deal with Harrison being a loon. But I think if he'd have just said in the first place, look, she was trying to get out of the moving vehicle, I was trying to help her, I didn't want to leave her in a lay-by in case she drove by herself. I don't believe you go to jail for that.
Yeah, and he was saying to Emma, although she wasn't listening fully at points, understandably, because she's processing this absolute bolt out of nowhere, a bit of huge information about her boy. He said, oh shit, I've lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, I was only trying to help. I was trying to help. It was desperate voice, wasn't it? I was only trying to help her. And but then she brought him back down to earth and said, yeah, by making it look like but you've, made it look like she caused this. It's good that Emma is saying, like, that is wrong and we cannot let Alice go to prison. Thank God she's saying that.
The walls are closing in now, and they're going to be closing in on Emma as well. I mean, that bit, what was it that prompted her to say, you are me, because I've been taking all the platitudes for you being a hero, and now what are people going to think?
That was the strongest thing, I think. He said, this isn't about you, it's me. And she went, you are me, don't you get it? And I was like, as a mum, I was like, oh, that's what you feel like. Your kids are you. That was it. It was so well written.
Yeah. His understanding of the judicial system was, if they can send Nana to jail, they'll send me. Someone on that jury just got gossiped about by Susan. She was like, right, I'm sending her down for this.
Yes.
Don't care if she hit her brother or not.
Oh my God, yeah. And then there was the tussle, wasn't there, where she said, right, we've got to ring somebody. I'll call Ed. And then he was like, he's never loved me like a dad, not like Kira. It's like, ooh. And he reminded her, you swore on Kira's life. But there was a bit of a tussle, and I thought, oh God, is he going to sort of get violent and either push her or hit her or something and then run away? But no, that didn't happen.
Club her with a ferret and leg it into the night. No, thankfully it didn't happen. She pulled him back in the car earlier as well, didn't she, when he called Chelsea a stupid cow, reverting back to his old ways.
She stuck up for Chelsea and was like, no, she was just asking after you because she cares about you. But he's got that paranoia, though, hasn't he? He felt like people have been talking about me, like have Chelsea been talking about me to you? He's like in such a bad place of his own making. And he can say all he likes that he was trying to help her, but it's not particularly helpful, is it, to drive someone else's car, who you're probably not insured to drive anyway. That's a slightly separate matter, but yeah, not super helpful, really.
She ended by saying, all right, no police, no Ed, no Will, you've got me, but we can't let Alice go to the slammer. Well, not sure how you're going to do that, to be honest.
She's going to have to tell someone, isn't she?
If she doesn't, I think greater the fall.
Indeed, yeah, unless there's a continuation of the conversation between the pair of them, which there's going to be, isn't there, where they thrash out what they should do. And I do think George will just realise, like, he's got his mum involved in all of this now. The best thing he can do is just walk into that police station and go, this is what actually happened.
Yeah, but if that happens on Sunday, we'll all be well pissed off.
Will we?
I think so. It's a weight off our shoulders that he's told someone.
Not half. It was such a relief when he just started doing, because obviously we've been waiting, haven't we? I did not imagine it would happen today. Did you? It surprised me.
I kind of felt it was coming after that ending yesterday where Emma said, I'll let him know, no matter what, no shame, no embarrassment. He can tell me whatever he's done, like I'm his mum.
Yeah, I need to show him I'm here for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because David said it was maybe a PTSD and he just needs his mum.
Yes, you'll know it's really bad if he starts hallucinating ferrets, Emma.
I've got to share my amazing gag about the PTSD as well.
Oh, go on then.
That it was post-traumatic seat switching disorder.
There were some responses to that, weren't there?
Yeah, there were. Yeah, I got quite a bit.
Did someone have something to do with Tony and soup in the replies?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember who did that. Or was it Pat's traumatic soup or something?
Yeah, something like that. Stella and Pip seem to be getting on fine, Kerry, unfortunately for you.
There was a slight dig, wasn't there, when Stella said to David, when Pip was going mental about, like, not to the left, to the right, not to the right, to the left. And David was struggling with whatever it was. Was it one of the two chaise longues?
No, I think it was pictures for the wall at that point.
Oh, was it? And Stella sort of went, despite all her faults, you've got to be thankful for your daughter, haven't you? Or something like that. And David went, and he went, well, she needs to be thankful for you or something. Was it? For all her shortcomings, you're lucky to have your daughter, is what she said. And she was laughing. And David went, she's lucky to have you. And she went, yes, she is. I was, yes, Stella.
I tell you what, Fallon's going to be changing the design of Emma's birthday cake now, isn't she? A car on a bridge with another car going into the water and George in a devil costume. Pip asked Fallon if she could knock up some black icing. And she went, it's for Gran. She's going to make hearts for everyone. It wasn't. She's going to make bees, but, you know.
Yeah, but that image of Jill rifling around in the kitchen when poor Fallon had specific ingredients for specific dishes. And I just thought Jill's going to mess the whole thing up.
Well, lest we forget, it was Jill that ate Fallon's erroneous quiches that time and said, they were wonderful, Fallon. You should always try new things. Why have you got 3 heads?
The special ingredient.
Yep, it's set up nicely for next week.
Yeah, not half. What did you think of the Hen Do, though, generally speaking? Sounded quite crap to me.
Yeah, well, they're having to repurpose it because it went from a place with multiple rooms into a big barn.
Yeah, with a terrible rom-com being shown and some chaise longues.
I got the impression David has just pulled a load of dusty DVDs. Here we go. Kramer v. Kramer. That's a rom-com, isn't it? French Lieutenant's Woman. They're all Meryl Streep, I'm afraid.
It was a slight shame he didn't say any of those titles, really, wasn't it?
Or there's an old Betamax recording we found in a closet that is just endless clips of Susie Quattro. I think that one's Kenton's. It's worn out in a few places.
Yeah, I found one here, like Daddy Does Mummy. Don't know what that was. That would be good. Pops it on the screen. Jill's watching with her black icing all over her teeth.
I don't know what this is. It's called Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, what an ending to the week in Ambridge. Amazing.
Indeed.
Total props to everybody involved.
Yeah. I thought that scene at Brookfield yesterday and just the two of them tonight, absolutely brilliant. Okay, let's take a little breather, Kerry, and discuss the wonderful people that listen to the pod and our social media stuff.
This weekend, don't miss the new Borsetshire-based viticulture podcast that's keeping everyone down in the dirt. Adam Macy presents Soiling Yourself. Each week, Adam takes us through heart-racing topics such as carbon-nitrogen ratio, microbial biomass, and planning ahead for when you decide to fertilize your stepfather. But remember, Adam can't plough this furrow alone. He needs you, the lovely soiler inners, to call in each week and give him and his co-host Polly Tunnell something to talk about. Please call in. Soiling Yourself, an Adam Macy production. Log in, turn green, tune out.
So our midweek special on the Patreon this week was dedicated to February the 10th omnibus from 2019, in which Brian did plead guilty in order to only receive a £120,000 slap on the wrist. So we went back and had a listen to that. All right, so this is just over 5 years ago. And we picked it out because it's the week that Brian received his fine in court when he went in and pleaded guilty to polluting the Am the previous year. We thought, okay, well, the whole omnibus is going to centre just around that. But we got in it and there's just so much other stuff going on.
He also thinks that Johnny can read horses really well.
I thought, was it horses or cows?
Oh, it was cows. It was cows, yes.
I thought he said he could read to cows really well.
In fact, who was it who changed his mind about what to do? It was Joe, wasn't it?
He had a chat with Joe Grundy, didn't he? There's no issue you can go to cry on David's shoulder about without him turning it into the time he shot that badger.
Yeah, I know.
My dad loves the pigs. He'd be looking down now thinking, who's that fucking streak of piss in here with my wife?
Good lesson learned. Admit to your errors.
he broke Regulation 12.1b, Regulation 38.1a of the Environmental Code, and he also broke Regulation 17.1.5, which was being very sexy in a cravat. So yeah, that was the Le Cidre Shed midweek special versus toxic dumping. When we were talking about the whole process with Lexi being the surrogate, Kerry used the technical term, was it the sperm person?
Yes, Matthew, it was, yes.
Yeah, Nina said, wouldn't Adam's sperm be a splinter?
Oh, yes.
Which Rob said, shooting sawdust. Rachel said, that was great. I'm amazed that some of these storylines were only 5 years ago, especially considering we've had months of monologues within that time. Yeah, just shows that more happened in Ambridge than we give the show credit for. And Rob, as I said, pointed out, yeah, they'd lost the house by that point. Jessa said, I have a vague memory of a sister or cousin of Ian's who might have donated the egg. I can't remember.
Could well be true. Yeah. Shall I ask ChatGPT?
I think ChatGPT doesn't always give you the right answer, Kerry, but feel free to ask it.
Shall I say? Okay, I'll do that now.
Joe Graham has added, I thought it was just an anonymous donor through a clinic or something. To which Jessa said, you're probably right. I have a suspicion that at the time, I thought this is what would happen. Pat also pointed out, interesting how Brian took a while to agree to plead guilty given how he's nagging Alice to do the same.
Who donated the egg in the surrogacy story for Adam and Ian?
I bet you it says Tony. Josh is the main supplier of eggs in the village. It was probably him. Did this help?
Oh, they've got it wrong. This is wrong. It's a ChatGPT, pile of shite. The answer is, in the Radio 4 soap opera The Archers, the egg donor for Adam and Ian's surrogacy journey was Lexi Viktorova. Lexi, a Bulgarian worker at home farm, agreed to donate her eggs and later became the surrogate for the baby. Wrong.
Got to be careful with ChatGPT, haven't you?
Yeah.
Furthermore, Gemma Campbell said, yes, I'm with Kerry. Brian is a fox and I won't hear anything otherwise. Rob really liked the bitchy comment about not unlike how you had Daniel Schuler discussing the surrogacy, and he was quite excited about the David Badger chat.
Badger!
Melanie McLaren got a little bit touched. She said, oh, Jenny darling, it was wonderful hearing her voice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Again. Esther said, it really is a competition for which Archer to dislike the most. David Badger, Helen's self-centered friend, Shula, Lizzie to Bert, Jill to Jenny, etc. Yeah, Lizzie was foul to Bert in that one.
Yeah.
Angela Radice says, a wanky new app for the veg boxes.
Of course.
Also, she left us hanging a bit here. On the Facebook, she said, plenty of toxic waste in that episode. They certainly crammed a lot in. Did anyone else spot 3 plot lines that went absolutely nowhere? And she hasn't elaborated which. So, Angela, what did you think? Because I've ripped up my notes now.
Yeah, me too.
And put them in the recycling. Yasmin said, oh, looking forward to listening to this. A request, please. I started listening just after the drama of Brian and Siobhan's affair. Was there a big reveal or some wonderful episodes back then when they were sneaking around? Because I'm sad to have missed that adventure. Can we review that? If not, are there some other affairs that were fun to listen to? I previously wanted death, and now I'm into affairs. I'm not sure what that says about me at the moment.
We can certainly go back to Brian and Siobhan. I remember a scene where they're dancing at some ball or other.
Didn't it get uncovered at like an event like that?
Possibly, yeah.
I think Jenny found out there and then, or they were covering it up. I remember they had a scene in a bath as well.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, we can try and find that.
Laura Martinez said, gosh, what a lot has happened in 5 years. And Helen Davis said, a packed week indeed. And amazing how many of these stories are still playing out today one way or another. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking that Tom and Kirsty trashing Brian's crops might be a good time to revisit. I think so even more now. Yeah, that was mentioned as being something way off in their past, wasn't it? We'll certainly have a little hunt around. So if you want to become a patron, get those midweek specials, join in the time travel, and get the main episode early and ad-free, you can do that by going to www.patreon.com/cidershed and help support the pod. One person who did become a Patreon is Simon Thompson.
Well, hello there, Simon Thompson. Thanks so much for becoming a Cider Shed patron. We're forever grateful. Now, can we get you anything? A snack? A drink?
Badger!
Oh,
Thank you very much, Simon. So, you can support us that way, or you can write us a review, 5-star preferably. That really helps the podcast over at Apple, iTunes, etc. No new reviews this week, Kerry, but, we're not going to let that get us down, are we?
no. The instructions on how to do so are always in the episode notes if you fancy doing one.
Yeah, and a couple of those comments I read out there were also from our Facebook group. You can join that. It's called the Cider Shed Podcast. And I also look after the Instagram, where I posted the vintage tractor run through the village.
It was such a good procession. What amazing vehicles they were. Some right old ones. And all lovingly looked after.
Jessa said the one guy who didn't wave looked like he was wearing a MAGA hat. I did notice, yeah. And Angela said the wheels are going backwards.
Does that make Ambridge great again?
Rob liked the inclusion of canned heat, the music on the video. I added that because some family relatives were giving running tractor commentary over it and they didn't want their voices to be in it. And Viv sent a little link to the local Christmas lights tractor run where she's from, which is for charity. So I'm going to post that up to the Facebook, actually. Nina said they have a Christmas one in Hereford too to raise money for charity, and it goes on forever. So pretty seeing all the tractors all decorated up and the kids love it. As long as you're not trying to go anywhere and you're stuck behind. Yeah, there's one guy in a van coming behind you thinking he's there going, I know that road, like there's no real option to go anywhere else. That goes all the way up to a swing bridge on the canal. So see what you're missing by not living in the countryside, Kerry.
Yeah, well, here in Brighton, we've got road closures this weekend because of Brighton Pride. Slightly different.
I hope everything goes well there and a load of dickheads don't show up like they seem to be showing up elsewhere all over the country. So, yeah, Kerry, that's our Instagram. Tell us about that wonderful place Elon Musk runs.
Yay, Twitter. Just ignore him and have fun with us at the Cider Shed Pod, and also on Blue Sky at the cidershedpod.bsky.social.
One thing that's coming back is the Cider Shed Podcast Fantasy League. Now, if you want to get involved in that, just register a team before the 16th of August, I think that is, and we're going to put a link and the code to join our league in the episode description. Also, the people who finished in the top 5 last year, we're going to be sending some goodies out to you. Now, we have most of your details. So, Chris Charlson, he finished first. We have them. Nat Ogle, I've got your email. I'll be in touch with you. Alistair Sheldrick, we haven't heard from, I believe. Audrey Cameron, just let us know how we send something out to you. And Anna, who got in touch on Patreon this week as well. She finished 5th. So all of those placings, they're going to get some Cider Shed goodies. So you can get in touch with us at hello@thecidershed.com and make yourselves known to us and where we send those things. All right, everyone. Kerry and I are going to go away and have a little think about what we'll do for a midweeker next week.
I thought you were going to say we're going to go away and have a little think about what we've done, like children.
Well, I do that afterwards.
Some self-reflection.
Also, I just said do.
Yeah.
So it's a double whammy of childish fun.
Cool.
I reckon what we're talking about, what chocolate relates to which people in the Archers with Alistair. I think actually what will tip George over the edge is that at Emma's 40th, for you, George, a box of Cadbury's Heroes.
Yeah. I've just remembered one tiny comment he made, which made me think, yep, this week, which was he said, oh, if only I could get away somewhere, I'd really like to get away.
You think he's doing a runner?
Well, I do think it's the kind of thing he would do where it all gets a bit too much for him. And I said this before, haven't I, that he'll get some money from somewhere, like nick it from someone, I don't know, someone's purse or God knows. But and that he'll just disappear for a bit and people going, why is he, where's he gone? Why is he gone? And, maybe that's how people will realise he had more to do with it.
I reckon he's going to raid the pantomime dressing room. Linda's going to discover the horse costume is gone and he's going to mail himself to Meg Mellor.
Yeah, that's even more likely, Matthew. Oh, right. So he could dress up in the pantomime horse costume. Bit tricky when there's only one of you. Would he be just the front or just the back?
Oh, he'll get Brad to do it as well.
Okay. And then he'll go to sort of live with Bartleby undercover at the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Could happen.
No one will ever know or find him.
All right, Kerry. I think on that prophetic note, let's say our goodbyes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.